Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really fantastic story about a celebration that completely flipped tradition on its head. And it's all thanks to a group of kids who decided a party should be way more than just, well, a party. So, let's start with this question right here. What if you planned an event where the main goal wasn't just to entertain the guests of honor, but to unlock something really special in everyone else who came? That's the amazing idea we're going to unpack today. You know, every great idea usually starts with a problem, right? And in this case, it was a classic one. It was that familiar kind of sinking feeling of a holiday that's just lost its magic. So picture this. Children's Day is just around the corner, and a group of kids get together to plan the party. But pretty quickly, they hit a wall. The usual celebration just felt, well, tired. They knew they wanted something different, something with a little more meaning. And this really captures that feeling of disconnect perfectly. On one side, you've got the standard party formula. Some games, some music, some food. But on the other side, you see what the kids were actually feeling about it all. Boredom, repetition, and just a total lack of any real meaning. So what do you do when you're stuck in a party planning rut? Well, they did something really simple but totally clever. They decided to look to the past for a little inspiration. Completely out of ideas, the kids went home and asked their parents this super straightforward question. They figured, hey, if anyone has a fresh perspective, it's got to be the generation before them. But what they heard back was not at all what they were expecting. In this quote right here, it was a total culture shock for them. The parents explained that they didn't have these big planned out parties. Their idea of fun was so simple, just drinking lemonade under a tree with friends. That was it. And somehow, this beautiful, simple memory became the spark for a whole new idea. Okay, so this is where things get really creative. That one little memory sparked a revolutionary idea that would end up redefining the whole celebration for absolutely everyone. And what they came up with was brilliant. They called it the Inner Child Carnival. The mission was no longer just about throwing a party for kids. It was about creating an event where everyone, especially the parents, could tap into that feeling and become a child again. An idea is one thing, but pulling it off, the execution, is everything. And the way these kids planned and structured their carnival, it was nothing short of genius. I mean, just look at this lineup. They didn't just set up a few random games. They designed a whole experience with all these different stations, and each one had its own unique purpose, from storytelling and play all the way to crafts and kindness. So the first stop was the Memory Lane Corner, and this was designed specifically for the adults. The idea was for them to bring an object from their childhood, maybe a book, a toy, a photo, and just share the story behind it. And the stories that started pouring out were just incredible. One parent shared this amazing memory about a favorite book, explaining how after their dog chewed it up, their grandma would just improvise the ending every night. And instantly, the whole room just filled with laughter, creating this genuine connection between the generations. So, after setting that warm, emotional tone, it was time to let loose. The focus shifted to pure, unfiltered fun, and the results were absolutely spectacular. Over in the play zone, things got, well, really competitive. The parents just jumped right in, playing all these traditional games from their own youth, like Lagori and Gilly Danda, with a kind of energy nobody had seen from them in years. You could actually hear parents shouting things just like this, totally lost in the moment. For a little while, they weren't just parents watching their kids play. No, they were the champions of their old neighborhoods, ready to reclaim their titles. But the absolute highlight of the day had to be the tug of war. Okay, so the parents are on one side, pulling with everything they've got, so determined to win. And then, in this perfect moment of mischief, all the kids just let go of the rope at the same time. The parents went tumbling down in a heap, and the entire hall just exploded with laughter. It was perfect. But this carnival had a much deeper layer to it as well. It had a real heart. The Kindness Booth was a place where families brought old toys and books to donate to children in need. It was this beautiful reminder that being a kid is also about learning to be generous and kind. As the day started to wind down, the true impact of the carnival really became clear. This wasn't just a party, it was a profound lesson for every single person who was there. And to cap it all off, they created a pledge board. The theme was so simple but so powerful.
a collective promise to not let the pressures of being an adult extinguish that playful, curious spirit we all start out with.
And these weren't just some vague, feel good ideas. No, they were specific, real things you could actually do. Pledges to play more, to stay curious and ask questions, promises to connect with people through simple hugs, and to carve out time every single week for one activity that is just for pure, simple happiness.
By the end of it all, the parents were just overwhelmed. They said it was the real Children's Day, not a day where they just celebrated their kids, but a day where they actually got to be kids again, all thanks to the incredibly thoughtful plan of their own children. And really, that brings us to the final thought here. This whole story is such a beautiful reminder that joy and play and curiosity, they aren't just for children. So it kind of leaves us with this question. What's one small thing you'll do this week to let your own inner child out to play?